In a world overflowing with information, separating fact from fiction is more important than ever. Welcome to the Fact Check Podcast, your weekly dose of truth. In Uganda, we are committed to uncovering the truth behind the headlines and debunking the myths that circulate in our society. Join us as we dive deep into the most pressing issues facing our nation, armed with evidence and committed to accuracy.
Hello and welcome to the Fact Check Podcast, your source for in-depth discussions. I'm your host Rachel Kanyana and my co-host
Sylvia Nahawekajira.
And today we are going to dive into the operations of Uganda National Oil Company, or you could call it UNOC. As Uganda sits on significant oil reserves in the Albertine Rift, the role of UNOC in the country's economic development cannot be understated. However, questions around its transparency, accountability, and the equitable distribution of oil revenue remain. Well, today let's unravel these concerns. Sylvia, what have you got to say?
Now, about the Uganda National Oil Company, often abbreviated as UNOC, as you mentioned earlier, has been at the heart of Uganda's oil sector since the discovery, way back of oil in the Albertine Rift. Now, founded to oversee the development, production, and management of these resources, UNOC promises significant contributions to Uganda's economy. I think that has always made headlines in the newspapers, and the company has faced scrutiny over several critical issues. Now, you mentioned transparency, accountability, and the fair distribution of oil revenues. And today's episode, we aim to provide a comprehensive assessment of UNOC's operations. And I think we should start with the transparency and accountability.
Indeed, right there. I'm going to start with the financial reporting. Okay, we must give the credit where it's due. UNOC has indeed made some strides in this area, okay? Financial reporting. The company has been establishing annual reports and financial statements, which I believe is a positive step towards greater transparency. What do you think?
There's been also corruption allegations, which remains a persistent issue in Uganda's oil sector. To address this, UNOC has implemented measures such as establishing integrity committee. While these efforts are commendable, the need for continued vigilance and independent oversight cannot be overemphasized. Now, transparency, international and other watchdog organizations stress the importance of robust anti-corruption frameworks.
I agree with that. There's still more work that needs to be done, much as the company has made strides towards combating these allegations, which brings me to talk about, Sylvia, the public participation. I believe UNOC has made efforts to engage the public through consultations and community outreach. However, these initiatives need to be more inclusive and transparent, especially in areas most affected by oil development. Because genuine public participation can build trust and ensure that community concerns are addressed. Well, with that being said, Sylvia, let's talk about another critical issue in this regard, the distribution of the oil revenue funds. What have you got to say on that?
Now, a petroleum revenue fund, the Ugandan government established the Petroleum Revenue Fund. I don't know if you've heard about it, and it's intended to manage oil revenues. While this is a significant step, concerns remain about the allocation of these funds, which is not it's non-transparent. Are they genuinely benefiting the general population? And this is a question that needs ongoing scrutiny and often dialogue.
I agree with that for sure. I hope the company would be able to address this kind of question. Well, with that being said, I understand UNOC has policies to promote local content as well in the oil industry, and there have been progress for sure. But it's crucial to ensure that local businesses and communities are not sidelined. Fair opportunities must be made available for the local participation in the oil value chain.
Yeah, and social and environmental impact. The oil industry comes with substantial social and environmental impacts. UNOC has a responsibility to mitigate these and ensure that affected communities receive adequate compensation. I don't know if you agree with me. And the benefits, more especially, this includes not just financial compensation, but also environmental restoration and social support.
Indeed, UNOC remains a topic of discussion for sure because this industry has affected a big number of Ugandans or a big percentage of the population of Uganda. So I hope so much can be done to ensure that at least they can combat these allegations. Well, with that being said, UNOC has made commendable progress in providing transparency and accountability, much as there's still significant room for improvement.
Yes, and I still say I think UNOC has the potential to transform Uganda's economy positively. Though we still have people that are Ugandans. Ugandans are gullible and they will always be pessimistic about everything. But I think UNOC has the potential to Uganda's economy to affect it like positively. But this outcome hinges on continued vigilancy, accountability, like we've been mentioning, and inclusivity. Thank you for joining us today on the Fact Check podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to all our social media platforms, that is Instagram and X, and review us on those social media platforms. Until next time, I am your host, Nahawe Sylvia Kajura, and
Kanyana Rachel.